To say that WWE's road to WrestleMania is rocky would be an insult to the moon buggy. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling blogger who always tells it like it is. Before I start, my apologies for not having the Elimination Chambers picks out. I was compiling the video when an error struck and I didn't have the time to fix it before going to work that day. This isn't my full-time job. Please believe me when I say that I got 4 out of 5 matches right. I knew Daniel Bryan would win and that Roman Reigns would give him a title match immediately afterwards. I knew Drew McIntyre would win his chamber match too. The only match I missed was for the US title. Never in my wildest dreams did I think Riddle would take the title. Though, given what happened afterwards, it now makes sense. So let's get to what happened on Raw after Elimination Chamber. After The Miz snuck in and took the WWE title from McIntyre, he was feeling high and mighty. I mean, first primary title in a decade can do that to a fellow, I'm sure. Still a little shocked he didn't hold out on Money in the Bank until WrestleMania. But in any case, Miz was feeling so superior, and then we learned that he made a deal with recently deposed and very pissed off Bobby Lashley. Made a deal to weaken McIntyre even more after his chamber match so that Miz could steal the title. And the deal was that Lashley would get first dibs at the title. Of course, Miz didn't specify when said title match would take place, so he thought he could coast for a while and maybe even talk Lashley out of it. Yeah, right. Lashley apparently needed a belt like a man who grabbed a fat man's trousers and had nothing to wear. And since he is the head of the Hurt Business, he decided to make a deal with Miz. Lashley gets his title shot, and Miz's only pain will be had during the fight. Of course, Miz, being the coward he always was, tries to delay the inevitable until Shane McMahon forced him into a lumberjack match, which allowed Lashley to finally hold a major title in the WWE. But the question is, who will Lashley face next? Is he really WrestleMania main event material? Not that Miz was the only coward in the WWE going through sneaky lengths to hold on to his primary title. Of course Reigns would think that being made immediate #1 contender meant that the title match should be held immediately after Bryan won the honor. And despite what Edge did after the match, he only secured a Universal title match at WrestleMania. And it doesn't have to be against Reigns. So Bryan took advantage of that, got Jay the Minion Uso to force Bryan to get through him before he gets to Reigns, and Bryan does just that, earning a title match at WrestleMania. Now, of course, I suspect Reigns is going to use his influence to make it into a match Bryan can't possibly win, though I suspect Bryan may come close before Uso interferes, because that's what Reigns does now. Even when he won the title a week after SummerSlam, he only got involved after Braun Strowman and The Fiend had already beaten the literal hell out of each other. He takes the easy way out by either battling easy opponents or stacking the odds in his favor against tougher opponents. Edge is going to have to do something really special to keep Reigns from sneaking out of WrestleMania as champ. Speaking of champions, what about the women's champ situations? Asuka is away having her incisors reattached after Shayna Baszler kicked the originals over the center field wall in Tropicana Field. But Charlotte doesn't want to wait for the return to challenge Asuka to a WrestleMania match. Or a WrestleMania 34 rematch, if you will. But does she really deserve it after the crappy angles she and her father put us through the last few months? I don't know. I think a gauntlet match or even a battle royal is needed to decide the Empress's opponent. And all that chaos is because Bianca Belair pointed to the WrestleMania sign while on SmackDown, signifying her wanting to take on the SmackDown Women's Champ, currently Sasha Banks. And while pulling a Ric Flair and winning the Royal Rumble as the third woman in, and also considering the fact that Banks Belair would be awesome, why do I feel the writers are going to screw it up somehow? Either Banks will lose the title between now and WrestleMania, or someone will be inserted in to make it a triple threat match. Why do I feel that the powers that be don't believe that the EST of the WWE can be the WrestleMania-ist? Staying with SmackDown, some people are wondering what the hell's going on with Randy Orton lately. The spewing black gunk, the obviously pre-recorded copy of him, the cryptic messages by Alexa Bliss. Ever since Orton burned that doll of The Fiend, he hasn't been his usual psychotic self. It's almost like there actually was a voice inside his head. See, that's what I think happened. When The Fiend was turned to ash, his soul transferred to Orton. And now it's fighting to get out so that Bliss can do some satanic ritual and reincarnate The Fiend, leading to a, hopefully pre-recorded, rematch. Not the greatest of angles, I'll admit, but I will also admit that it's a new angle for the WWE. In the over 35 years I've been watching the WWE, never have I seen an actual soul transfer angle. So let's see where this goes. Pardon. And then, of course, there's the issue with Retribution on Raw. They've been losing and losing and losing, and the so-called leader, Mustafa Ali, is getting very agitated at them, especially at their more recent losses to the New Day. And yet, they keep dragging this god-awful stable out. I wish the men would just rip off their masks, beat the crap out of Ali, and either finally make a name for themselves on Raw, or go back to NXT when they actually had some success. But no. As long as Ali keeps cleaning up the messes left behind, we still have to deal with Slapjack, Mace, and T-Bar. Oh, and Reckoning, or whatever the hell Mia Yim gave up her identity to be. The good news? They still have 5 weeks and a pay-per-view to work this crap out before the first WrestleMania on Peacock, and the first one with a 5-digit audience since last March. Let's hope they can snap out of this and get that road to WrestleMania paved like Lightning McQueen near the end of Cars. Told you wrestling wasn't my only thing I like. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling blogger who always tells it like it is. Stay safe, and I'll see you.